I'm going to talking about other things. Please skip if you are kids. Go away, kids. Adults. This bullshit question will never in your question. Hello, I'm Korean teacher Dexter. If you see me in the offline class, please don't speak English in front of me because of other students who cannot speak English. I'm going to making KIIP Korean program studying video because I want to do it. And I'm pretty sure it is worth for students for skipping their own learning. This video will guide you more efficient way. And my on and offline class is start from level 3, 중급1. Before we start, let's check 2021 new books. So this one was the last version. You don't need to use it. And this one is a new one. So you have to buy this new version. And click here, you can buy on the online shop. And this year's new books, there is one for students book and one for practice book or workbook, whatever. It is good for your own learning and practice the grammar structures. Especially Unit 6, we are going to learning passive voice, but students book alone is not enough to practice. And passive voice is so important, not only in Korean, but also in English. So you need to practice many times. So I highly recommend to buy two books, students books and works book together. Also, I uploaded all the listening file in my YouTube channel, so you can review it easily whenever, wherever you are. This is first class. It means the orientation, which is the shorter, the better. For each unit, theoretically, it requires 5 hours per unit. But by this video, I will use less than 3 hours per unit. So in this orientation, let's start with general syllabus, studying tips for test. Oh, before we start orientations, you guys are usually adults. So I'm going to talking about other things. Please skip if you are kids. Go away, kids. Adults, learners are prepared to learning language rather than acquiring the language. So the adult prepare learning concrete separated grammar things. But that will be bullshit. Yes, that is meaningless for our test situation. After level 1, 중급1, it is close to usage rather than grammar. Yeah, I hate it in Korean education. They say that is grammar, 문법, but actually after level 1, it is close to usage rather than grammar, I'm sure. If I ask to what is difference between will and is going to, do you know that? Have you ever think what is the difference? I know. I learned it when I studied in the university. In his book, like the grammar teachers, something like that. In here, they describe the difference between is going to and will. So it will rain. It is going to rain. Do you know the difference? But for the test, it is bullshit. You don't need to care about it. To me, yeah, after level 1, that grammar is that. So there is a subtle meaning difference, but you don't need to memorize all. It's meaningless. And in the test situation, you don't need to care about it. For example, in Korean, 고 싶다, 원하다. I want. So 원하다 is a base form, and 고 싶다, that's all. But in the textbook, there are so many ways of how to describe it, how to say it in the usage. But you just know the meaning, and that's all for the test. Please don't obsessive to the grammar too much. Think about when you are acquiring your mother tongue. Do you memorize all the grammar rules when you are acquiring your mother tongue? Not. If I explain it by Korean, it is worth using target grammar by Korean explanation. But I'm going to using English, so it is meaningless. So I'm just explaining its usage and meaning. If you do want to knowing about that subtle difference, I also take an online class in bubbling. You can take my private lesson in the bubbling. Click here. Some say KIIP is Korean for immigrants, so no need to explain by English. Here's Korea, so you come to Korea, you want to be an immigrant of Korea, so you should have to learn in Korean. Yes, it might be. The others say, why not, Dexter? Do it. I think by explaining Korean by English, I could reflect more deeply about my language, but also you could scheming about what you are going to learn. This is also good point if I explain by English. So, by your thumbs up and subscribing, please be with me. Shall we start? Okay, class, so this is Korean teacher Dexter's KIIP study. So let's start it. So this one is new book. So from 2021, there is a new book, so you have to buy it. So if you want to buy but don't know, click here on the link. You can buy online. So you have to buy the book. I highly recommend if you take a KIIP class. 2 books, one for student's book and one per workbook. You can practice a lot. So you can practice a lot of grammar things at the workbook. So this one is level 중급1 is level 3 book. So let's start the class. So on the page 8, there is a syllabus of this book. So first thing I want to make it clear is this one is the topic, what you are going to learn, and 어휘 is a vocabulary, and 문법 is grammar. But here, as I say, it is more close to usage. So except here, the passive voice, all the thing is a usage rather than the grammar. Anyway, the 문법 is grammar, and activity is a real life task or activity. And bottom is a pronunciation, and this is my best part. 문화와 정보 is a cultural note. So to me, when I'm learning English, before I start the textbook, I check all the cultural note. In here is so funny. As a Korean, yeah, it is so funny aspect in Korea. So whatever. So here I said again, don't be obsessive to the grammar here. Here is a level 3. So after level 1, all the thing is more close to usage rather than grammar. So in here, level 3, here is important point is there is a passive voice and causative. So passive is a passive version of causative. So it is a real grammar, but except that is all the usage rather than grammar. So in the test, you can easily check it. You don't need to worry about it. But Unit 6 grammar is so important. Unit 6 grammar, passive voice is so important. Not only in Korean, but also all language, it is so important. Especially Koreans. In Korean language, passive is so important because we try not to be rude. It's similar like Japanese. So if I say, I won't do that, it is something like a lose. So I think it seems, or Dexter seems to something like that. See, we don't want to agent voice. Passive voice is more like a depends. Or the culturally, we try not to be rude. But sometimes the agent, I won't do that. Something is sometimes rude, so we try not to be rude, so we use a passive a lot. So here the passive is also important. So let's deal. And here, one thing I want to say is so important here is, wait a minute. So this one, 복습, that is a review. It is a review from 1 to 8 and 9 to 60. But not only review, but also it is a test item. That is a type of test. So at first class, usually in the offline class, many students are being rated. So I let the student take the review 1 to 8. So this video, I will start from the general view from unit 1 to 8 and review, that is all for our orientation. So let's see what is the unit 1 in here. Unit 1 is 대인. Oh, sorry, here you cannot see that. So unit 1 is 대인 관계. 관계 is relation and 대인 is interperson. In is person, so interpersonal relationship like wife and mother-in-law. That is 고부 관계, or just 부부관계, marital relationship, wife and husband, something like that. Or student and teacher, 사제관계. What else? So topic is interpersonal relationship. And grammar is not that related, but when we learn in unit 1, let's check it together. And here is and pronunciation is here is a nasalization and liquidization, but the meta language, you don't need to worry about it. And furthermore, in the test, there isn't about the pronunciation. Maybe in the speaking test, but speaking, we just hearing because I went as interviewer, so I cannot check the pronunciation exactly. It's not that important for test, but for your general Korean learning, it is important. But in the syllabus here, so there is so many meta languages, 유음, 비음아, 격음아, diphthong, something like that. So you don't need to worry about the meta language, just let you know. So pronunciation is we are going to nasalization and liquid, and cultural art is Korean's social activity, how Korean becoming friend. But in here is a little bit of old style, but it's good and it's good for test. So unit 1 is interpersonal relationship, and unit 2 is personality. And here, so personality like 무뚝뚝하다 is 무뚝뚝하다 is don't speak a lot, or 활동적이다 is active, or 소심하다 is timid. So we are talking about personality. It's nothing special in here. And unit 3 is a local welfare system. And here is the pronunciation. We are going to learning about diphthongs. So 2 vowels but pronounced as 1 vowel. There's diphthong also in English. And here is the 다문화 이주민 플러스 센터. So yeah, in that center is for the immigrant. And unit 4 is 교환과 환불. Is so shopping and exchange and refund is so important for you living in Korea. So here is exchange and refund, and the pronunciation is a linking sound. It is so also important, but you don't need to worry about the meta term 연음. And unit 5 is spending and saving, also relating to the shopping. And here is the installment saving. It's a saving in the bank. It is also important. Maybe. But when I travel another country, I never think about the saving. But here is the installment saving. And unit 6 is residential environment. It's also important. But here is the 피동 is passive. So it is so important in grammar. So we are going to learning about passive voice. And here is the cultural note is 현대 명당 is a good place. So now maybe not, but still Korean prefer to living in the south side. And 배산임수. So in the back side we need the mountain and water, and the house should be faced to south. That is Myeongdang is a good place. So still Korean prefer to south side apartment. And unit 7 is 문화 생활. 문화 is actually culture and 생활 is life. So cultural life, what's that? So usually it is the performance or exhibition or movie. So unit maybe level 1 and 2, you have to go into theater and you have to watch, you have to go to museum, something like that. But this is a unit level 3, so we are going to performance or exhibition. So unit 8, we are going to talking about food and cooking. And also here's grammar is causative is also important thing. And cultural note is 유통기한 is like a best before. So until unit 1 to 8, we are going about this one. And this video, let's finish with the review from 1 to 8. It is so important. From the review, we can learn what we are going to learn. So let's see that. So let's start with the 어휘. It is the vocabulary. So let's start with the vocabulary. So vocabulary is simple. If you know the vocabulary, you can correct. If you don't know, you cannot correct. So let's see the sample. So here, 보기 is sample question. So let's read it. 승기와 윤경은 원래 같은 회사의 직장 블라블라였다. 두 사람은 1년간의 연애를 하다가 부부가 되었다. So here the key point is 직장. Yeah, that's all. So for the 직장 collocation, so this is a sample. So let's take it one by one. So 고부 관계, it is also important. So 고부 is in terms of me, my wife, and my mother is 고부 관계. Or if you are a woman, so yourself and mother-in-law, that is the 고부 관계. It is also important relationship in Korea. And number 2, 상사 is boss, your boss and your relationship. And 동료 is colleague. And 선배 is your senior. In the school or in the company, someone who come earlier than you is 선배. So 선배 관계, it is also possible. 동료 관계, it is also possible. 상사 관계, it is also possible. So here, see, the 직장 is company. So usually in the company, it's not talking about your mother and wife situation. So 고부 is not, but it is also important vocabulary you have to know. So here is not. So let's see number 2, 3, 4. It would be also possible in the company. There is a boss and your relationship and senior and your relationship. But the answer is 동료. The reason is here is a 승기와 윤경. 와 is and. It means equal relationship. So boss and senior, if there is a hierarchy. But 와 is a equal relationship. So 직장, except that, like here, 승기와 윤경은 원래 같은 회사의 직장 상사 관계였다. If there is a 관계, it is makes sense. Or 직장 선배 관계였다. It also makes sense. But yeah, actually 직장 동료였다 is more makes sense. That is the vocabulary section. So but in the meaning, number 2 or 4 would be possible, but number 3 is more appropriate. So that is the sample. So let's see number 1 here. See number 1 together. 학교 다닐 때는 아주 친했는데 몇 년 동안 블라블라 친구에게서 이메일이 왔다. 아주 반가웠다. 우리는 다음 주에 만나기로 했다. So number 1. So 몇 년 동안. Here is key point is 몇 년 동안, for long year, for long time. So here the answer is 연락이 끊긴. So 연락 is contact and 끊긴 is lose. So here let's see together. 학교 다닐 때 when we was in school 아주 친했는데 we was very good friend. So in the school time was best friend for nowadays for certain years lose contact friend에게서 let's see the distractor number 2, 3, 4. So number 2 is 잘 지내는 is going well. And number 3 is 공감대 is a sympathy. So 공감대 is a sympathy. So bond of sympathy there is. 생기다 is make. So make sympathy. And 사이가 좋은 is similar to going well, but 사이 is a relation. So relation is appropriate. Relation is good. Relation is good. So here the key point is 는데 is like a 그런데, however. So there is a contrast between previous and second. So 친했는데 is was good, but 는데 so previous is 친했는데 and the following would be contrast to 친했는데. That is 연락이 끊긴 is only one. And number 2, because number 2, 3, 4 is something good, not contrast. But 연락이 끊긴 is lose the contact is something bad thing. So 는데 is also grammar, but this one is a vocabulary question. So 연락이 끊기다. So 몇 년 동안 연락이. Except that 몇 년 동안 잘 지내는. It's possible. 몇 년 동안 공감대가 생기는. It's weird, but grammatically possible. But this is a vocabulary question. 몇 년 동안 사이가 좋은. It's also possible. So actually it is a vocabulary section, but it's close to grammar in here. Because here, 는데 is we need to contrast the previous and following. And let's move on to number 2. 제 딸은 성격이. 성격 is personality. So my daughter is personality is blah blah blah. So the key point is 무슨 일이든지 해보려고 하고 사람들 앞에 서는 것도 좋아해요. 그래서 그래요. 친구들도 많고 학교 생활도 잘 하겠네요. 그래서 무슨 일이든지 whatever he tried to and 사람들 앞에 서는 것도 she prepared to sit in front of other, in front of crowded, in front of person. So let's see. Number 1 is 소극적인. 소극적인 is passive. 소극적인 is passive and 적극적인 is active. And 꼼꼼한 is meticulous or precise. I think meticulous is more appropriate. And 무뚝뚝한 is like a cold or unfriendly or blunt. Or cold or unfriendly personality. So the answer is the answer is number 2, active. 무슨 일이든지 해보려고. She is going to do everything, whatever she's going to everything, and she likes to sit in front of the others. It is active. So this answer is number 2, but in your task situation, the answer need to be passive or meticulous or unfriendly. So you need to study the vocabulary here. So let's move on to number 3. 우리 동네 복지센터. It is a welfare center. 좋은 프로그램이 많다. 나는 취업 준비를 위해서 컴퓨터 과정을. So here is a 과정 is course. So I usually apply the course. So apply is 신청하다. So course and 해결하다. Let's see. 해결하다 is solve out. And 운영하다 is operating. And number 3, 제공하다 is support. So the 과정 is course. I apply for language course. So here number 4 is the most appropriate one. 신청하다 is apply. So number 4 is the answer. So let's move on to next one is so number 4. 이 티셔츠 지난주에 산 건데 얼룩이 있어서요. 아, 죄송합니다. 그럼 다른 걸로 교환해 드릴까요? 아니요. 블라블라 해주세요. So here the point is 교환, exchange. So the clerk asks about you wanna exchange? So the answer would be yes, I want exchange or I want to refund, whatever. So let's see. Number 1 is 훼손회. That is the broke. And number 2, 환불해. 환불 is refund. And number 3, 사용해. 사용하다 is use. And number 4, 문의해 is ask. So the clerk asks about you want to exchange, and the answer is say 아니요, nope. I want to broker it. I want to refund it, I want to use it, and I want to ask it. So the answer is I want to refund it is more appropriate. Actually, yeah, 훼손해 is like a comedy. In the comedy situation, no, I want to block it. It's possible, but this is official test, so you have to say number 2. 교환 is exchange and 환불 is refund. So let's move on to number 5. 이번 달은 지난달에 비해 생활비가 너무 많이 들었어요. 그래요? 어떤 항목에서 블라블라리 많았는지 한번 살펴보세요. So let's see together. And number 1, 적립 is accumulate or accumulate the point. AC. Accumulate. And number 2 is 지출 is spend. And number 3, 구입 is purchase or buy, just buy. And number 4, 절약 is saving. So the answer need to be 지출. So 어떤 항목, which part 많았는지. You spend a lot. Let's speculate. Let's see again. So the answer is number 2. So this time the answer is number 2, but next time your blank question. Answer would be number 1, 3, 4. So it is you need to study by yourself. So let's move on to number 6. 농초 is question is about 밑줄 부분과 의미가 비슷한 것. 비슷한 것은 is similar. So you need to find similar vocabulary. So let's start from number 6. 농촌 is a rural. 농촌에 오면 경치도 좋고 주변이 복잡하지 않아서. So here 복잡하다. 복잡하다 is like a complex. So in the rural side, the view is good, and the surrounding is 복잡하지 않아서 is not complex. So you need to find the answer. So let's starting together. So 복잡하다 is complex. So similar one is number 1 is the answer. 한적해서. 한적해서 is like a tranquil. Wow, it's a tranquil view site. 한적하다 is tranquil. And number 2, 안전해서 is safe. And number 3, 탁해서 is like a murky or cloudy. Murky. And number 4, 맑아서 is crystal clear. So the similar 복잡하지 않아서 is not crowded, is 한적하다, is tranquil. So let's move on to number 7. 인터넷으로 공연 티켓을 미리 샀다가 사다 is buy, 미리 is before, in advance. So 미리 샀다가 is the answer is 예매. 예 is also before, 매 is buy the ticket. So 예매하다 is buy in advance, buy before. So let's see the structure. 관람하다 is see, and 추천하다 is recommend. 예매하다 is preserve, and 변경하다 is change. So the similar meaning of 미리 사다. 사다 is buy, 미리 is in advance. So 미리 사다 is 예매하다. It's a similar one. So number 8, that is so adultery things. So let's see together. So 볶음밥을 만들려면 먼저 양파 껍질을 깠다. 볶음밥을 만들려고 먼저 양파 껍질을 깠다. Here's the 양파 is onion. And 껍질 is peel. So you peel the onion. So 깠다. So let's see one by one. 썰었다. Number 1 here. 썰었다 is cut. And 넣었다 is insert or add. 끓였다. 끓이다 is boil or stew. And 벗겼다. Wow, it's so sexy one. Or 벗겼다 is like a and here is the meaning is peel. So I peel the onion. But 벗겼다 itself is like a, if you say I'm feeling hurt. What is your first intuition? 벗겼다 is also has undress. So when I hear 벗겼다 at first, sorry, maybe I'm bad guy. So I'm thinking of something adultery thing. But here 벗겼다 is just peel the onion. But 벗겼다 itself also have undress. 벗겼다. So two meaning. But yeah, in the educational or test situation, we never ask about your undress. So just peel. That's all. Story, because I'm not a good teacher. So let's move on to number 9. 수진 씨는 언제나 나를 잘 이해하고 비슷한 감정을 느껴준다. 비슷한 is similar, 감정 is emotion. So Sujin always understand well me and feel sympathy or feel similar emotion. So the answer is the similar one is 공감을 잘 해준다. 공 is a common. 감 is feeling. So share common feeling or understand my feeling. So 공감 is a sympathy or empathy. Yeah, in Korea, we don't distinguish sympathy or empathy. At some point, we distinguish. So sympathy would be 연민, and empathy is more close to 공감. But the educational system, we never distinguish 연민 and 공감. 연민 is so bad meaning at some time. But for the test, just 공감 is empathy or have same feeling. So answer is number 2, 공감을 잘해준다. And let's see number 1, 예의를 잘 지켜준다. 예의 is etiquette or manner. And number 3, 조언 is advice. And number 4 is also could be an answer. 경청 is a listen well. But the sympathy or empathy, listen well, is similar but not the same. So the answer is number 2. And number 10, 아버지는 말이 별로 없고 감정 표현을 잘 하지 않으신다. 반대로 어머니는 활발하고 다정다감하시다. Here, 반대 is in contrast. So, father, 아버지는 말이 별로 없고 감정 표현을 잘 하지 않으신다. That is, the answer is number 1. 무뚝뚝하다. It is good because this is official item. So 무뚝뚝하다 means 말이 별로 없고 감정 표현을 잘 하지 않는다. And here the personality is 느긋하다, is relax, but it's neutral. Sometimes it's positive and sometimes it's negative. But here 느긋하다 itself is just neutral. And number 4, 성격이 덜렁거리시다. 성격이 덜렁덜렁하다 is careless. So this time the answer is number 1, but in your test, the answer would be number 2 or 3 or 4. So that is how you deal with the official test items. Start. Okay, so let's move on to grammar section. So 문법 is grammar, but as I said, it's close to usage rather than grammar. So let's see the first example of grammar. And this question is really bullshit. At first, after watching that, I asked, what the fuck are you talking about? The sample, 아나이스 씨가 제일 블라블라 음식은 불고기예요. So in here, what is the answer would be, if they say the number 4, 좋아하는. But think about, how about the number 2 and 3? It's possible. 아나이스 씨가 제일 좋아한 음식은 불고기예요. 아나이스 씨가 제일 좋아할 음식은 불고기예요. It is possible. So possible. But in the situation, test situation, you need to find the most appropriate the vocabulary. So but I'm pretty sure this bullshit question will never in your question, because even if the professor after check it, all Korean, not just the Korean expert, just all Korean think it is the question is not that good, But let's think about it first because this is question. So here, let's see. Oh, sorry, Siri. No, Siri. Siriaka. Oh, sorry about my Siri work. 좋다 is adjective. Korean we say adjective 형용사. And 좋아하다 is a verb. Is verb. We Korean say 동사. So here, 좋은 is adjective form. So it is impossible. Yeah, it's true. 아나이스 씨가 제일 좋은 음식은 no. 그러니까 좋은 사람, 좋은 친구. So adjective before the noun, 좋은. So it is impossible. But the other is 좋아한 is a past of 좋아하다. 좋아할 is future of 좋아하다. And 좋아하는 is present. So usually if there is no tense marker, we prefer to say present tense. So that is the only reason that number 4 is the answer. But yeah, just let you know, 좋아하다's past version is 좋아한, and the future 좋아할, 을할, and present is 좋아하는. That's all. This question is so bullshit. You don't need to care about it. I'm pretty sure. So next up is number 1 here. 회사에 처음 들어왔을 때는 일이 조금 어려웠는데 지금은 적응되어서 blah blah blah. So in here you need to check 는데 and the vocabulary is 적응 is adjust. So 조금 어렵다 is difficult. So 회사 is company. 처음 is at first. So at first when I was in company is the job. 일, the work is a little bit difficult. But 는데 is a contrast. You need to be opposite. So it was difficult. Now I'm adjusting. So it would be, you need to say about something easy. So think about it. So here the easiest one is 할 수 없어요 is you cannot do it. Cannot. So it is impossible. And the answer is 할만해요. At first it was difficult, but now I could do it. So could do it. And number 2, 해봤어요 is I did it, or I had experience about it. Did it. And 할 수 없어요 is cannot. 하려고 해요 is try to do it. So the most correct one is 할만해요. So here again, 는데 is a contrast. So there is a gap, or there is a difference between preceding sentence and following sentence. So difficult. 어려웠는데 now is impossible, or I could do it. So number 1 is the answer. Let's do number 2. 어렸을 때 내가 자꾸 동생을 블라블라 부모님께 혼난 적이 많아요. This question is about the causative. Causative. So we also going to learning about it. So the base poem is the cry, 울다. 울다. Causative form of 울다 is 울려서. 울다, 울려서. So number 1, 울어서 is agent. So 내가 울어서. I agent 울어서. 울려서 is let someone cry. So here 내 is my, and 동생 is a brother or sister. So let brother or sister 울려서. Let them cry. 부모님께 혼난 적. My parents angry about it. So number 2 is the correct answer. And the other thing is we don't need to care about it. So let's move on to number 3. 이번 달에는 통화를 적게 해서 통신비가 25,000원 블라블라 안 나왔어요. So here the point is 안. 안 is a not, negation. So negation should have to come with the 밖에. 25,000원 밖에 안 나왔어요. If there is no 안, the answer would be number 2 or number 4 is also possible. But here the 적게 is also less. So there are so many negative factors. So answer need to be number 3 only. But yeah, if there is 안, number 1 is also possible. 이번 달에는 통화를 적게 해서 통신비가 25,000원만 나왔어요. 25,000원이나 나왔어요. 이만큼. All this possible, but just because of 안, like a negation. So like a unless. If we see unless, it is if not. So unconsciously we think about the not negation. So not and here and have come to read the 밖에 together. It's an easy one. Let's move on to number 4 in the unit 1's grammar. Unit 1's grammar about 고해서. So here is 쉬라고 하셨어요. 왜 오늘 학교에 안 갔어요? Why didn't you go to school? 의사 선생님. Doctor said 약을 먹고 약 is a pill, eat the pill, and 푹 is a take a full rest. So 쉬다 is base form here. 쉬다 last, but here unit 1's grammar 고 하셨어요. So yeah, this is only the answer. 쉬라고 하셨어요. So let's move on to number 5. This is also a little bit weird question, but 이번 주말에 영화 보러 갈까요? Why don't we go to movie in this weekend? 이번 주말은 날씨가 좋다고 하니까 this weekend the weather will be good. 영화 blah blah 공원에서 산책하면 어때요? So the guy recommend to why don't we go to movie theater? But the na answer that rather than going to movie theater, why don't we walk around the park? So here the answer is 는 대신에. 는 대신에 is unit 2's grammar. So yeah, in the unit 2, when we are learning unit 2, we can see 는 대신에 instead of. And here is impossible. So if you know the meaning of 1, 2, 3, is easily you can correct it. And let's move on to number 6. Number 6 is 의미가 비슷한 것은 is find the similar vocabulary. So 한국 사람만큼 blah blah 만큼 is like Korean. So number 1 한국 사람만 is only Korean. blah blah 만 is only Korean. 한국 사람도 is Korean too or also. And 한국 사람보다 is better than Korean. And 한국 사람처럼 is as if. Yeah, as if. So the like and as if is the similar one. And number 7, 전화가 끊겼어요. 전화가 끊다 is hang up the phone. So 끊다 is usually meaning is cut, but cut the phone, is it natural? I don't know. I think hang up the phone is more natural. So 끊다. In here, 끊다 is hang up the phone. Hang up the phone. But actually, usually 끊다 is for cut, the general meaning. But here, 전화 is telephone. Telephone cut is a telephone hangs up. Telephone hang up. So the similar meaning is here 끊어요 is present tense. And 끊었어요 is past tense. And 끊어졌어요 is passive. and 끊도록 했어요 is causative. So the answer is the phone was hanged up. So this is also passive voice. You have to use it because the telephone. I'm not sure about your language or English. The phone, telephone is not agent. Usually being a patient. So the 전화가 끊어졌어요 is most appropriate and similar meaning. So let's move on to number 8. 오면 돼요. 모임은 반드시 8시까지 도착해야 돼요. Should I arrive at 8 about the gathering? Nope. 9시까지. Until 9. You could count until 9. So the answer is simple. So 오면 괜찮아요. It is okay. It is okay. So yeah, 1, 2, 3. It is meaningless at this part. Just 면 돼요. 면 괜찮아요. It is unit 1's grammar. So let's deal with more deeply in unit 1. And let's move on to number 9. 무엇을 도와드릴까요? What can I help you? So 입어보니까 바지 is jeans. 너무 헐렁해가지고 환불하려고 해요. So the most similar one is 해서. That is the level 1's grammar. 헐렁해 블라블라 해가지고 블라블라 해서. It's so easy one. So I don't want to deal with the level 3 class. So let's move on to number 10. This one is also ambiguous. What do you think the answer of number 10? 미역국. Do you know when we eat 미역국? Yes, birthday. It is so important. You have to know. Birthday cake is to us. The Korean is a Western cultures. So Korean cultures is a birthday for 미역국. 100% for your test. But here is a similar grammar question. 미역국을 어떻게 끓이는지 아세요? Do you know how to boil or how to make the 미역국? 당연하죠. 미역과 소고기만 있으면 쉽게 만들 수 있어요. So, do you know about how to make it? So, this is Unit 3's grammar. So, what the answer would be? So, if I have to correct one answer, I'd like to choose number 3. 수 있어요. Are you possible or can you do that? But like indirect speech, the number 2 is also possible. Have you ever boiled the 미역국? It means can you make it? It's indirect speech. So number 2 is also possible. But if I have to select just one answer, number 3 is more appropriate. So let's move on next part. So 틀린 것은 is which one is wrong. It's a grammar question. The answer, let's see. 서울은 살을 만한 도시예요. Number 2. 예방접종 비용이 얼마인지 알아요? 아이가 놀이터에 가자고 해서 속이 안 좋아서 밥을 먹는 대신에 blah blah blah. So the answer is number 1. 서울은 살만한 도시예요. This is Unit 4's grammar. 을 만한. So 살다 is to live, is 살만한, or 가다 is go, 갈만한. So number 1 is the answer, and 2, 3, 4 is great answer. So let's move on to 12 here. Number 12. Which one is wrong? The answer is again number 3. 1인 시에 바꾸는 전화번호. Yeah, 전화번호 is telephone number. So 1인 시에 바뀐. Have to use the passive. The telephone number cannot be an agent. Like a telephone number can be a person and I want to change my number. It is impossible. So 1인 시에 바뀐 전화번호. But 바꾸는 is agent voice, active voice. So we use it like a chameleon, the animal who change their color. So I made an example is 카멜레온은 색을 바꾸는 동물이다. So chameleon is 색을 바꾸는. Here the example 바꾸는 is active voice, agent voice. 색을 바꾸는 동물이다. But chameleon is agent. But 이링씨 is a person. 이링씨, the telephone number is being changed. So always need to be passive. So the wrong one, so number 3, and except number 3, 1, 2, 4 is good, correct answer. So let's move on next part. So number 13, we need to find wrong grammar, and the answer is number 1. 가을이 되니까 나뭇잎이 모두 빨가졌어요. Nope, you have to say 빨개졌어요. So yeah, in the unit we again try to figuring out this one. So at this level, just check it. 빨가졌어요. No, it's not impossible. It's not existing in Korean vocabulary. So 빨개졌어요 is wrong, and except that 2, 3, 4 is good. It's good. So let's move on to number 40. It is active, changing, transforming active to passive. Active to passive voice. Let's see. So 잠시듯이 때문에 사람들이 웃어요. The person are laughing. So 잠시듯이는 사람들을 웃겨요 is appropriate passive. 웃겨요. And number 2, 호엔 씨가 창문 밖을 봐요. I see. 밖에 아름다운 경치가 was seen is 보여요. Passive. And 밖이 너무 시끄러워요. 음악 소리가 크게 들려요. It's here, being here. 들려요 is active voice. So this one is also important. So on your workbook or activity book, something like that, the second book, we can practice a lot. And number 15 is to take make a indirect speech. So you need to make direct speech as indirect speech. So 정아라 선생님 said direct speech. 오늘까지 숙제를 제출하세요. So in here 선생님이 라고 했어요. So make indirect. So number 1, 잠시듯이 is directly say 무슨 선물을 what did you get as a present. So the answer is 잠시듯이가 무슨 선물을 받았냐고 했어요 is indirect speech. And number 2, 친구가 in here 친구 directly say here. So we need to change this one as 친구가 인터넷으로 물건을 사면 싸게 살 수 있다고 했어요. So here 다고 했어요 is make indirect speech, and you have to use 가 or 이 is so 가 or 이 and blah blah 다고 했어요. This one is 읽기 is reading. Reading, not reading. Sorry for my pronunciation. So reading. So number 1 is 같은 것은 is find the correct one. So in advance I checked all the test item. So the answer is, yeah, if you see my YouTube now, just stop here and see the question as let's deal it together. So the answer is number 2. Because 제 감정을 그대로 표현하지 못해서 힘들 때가 있습니다. That is the key point. And let's think about what is number 1. 친구들은 내 성격이 느긋하다고 생각한다. But the 사람들은 적극적이고 외향적이라고 생각한다. It is not correct. 적극적 is active and 외향적 is extrovert. 외향적인 is outgoing extrovert. But 생각이 느긋하다 is relaxed, is not It's not the same. And how about the number 3? 나는 스트레스를 전혀 받지 않는 편이다. But here, 사실 저도 스트레스를 많이 받습니다. So it is not correct. And number 4, 남이 보는 내 모습과 내가 생각하는 내 모습은 같다. Here, 겉으로 보이는 제 모습과 실제의 제 모습이 다른 것이 제 고민입니다. It's different. What the other people say and what I consider myself is not same. It's different. So the answer is number 2. And let's move on to number 2 here. It's a fill in the blank most appropriate one. The keyword here is 바꿀 수 있을까요? Can I change it? 바꾸다, change, refund, 환불. So customer say, can I change it? And the clerk say, yes. 어떤 것으로 바꾸다 is a similar meaning is 교환하다. It's also change. 바꾸다 is change and 교환하다 is like an exchange. That is a change. Change and 환불 is refund. And 구매 is buy, purchase. 반품하다 is also return or take back. So let's move on to number 3 here. With and the 옳은 것 is which one is correct one. You need to find the correct one. So stop this video and do it. And the answer is number 3 because here 중고책을 정가보다 싸게 살 수도 있다. 책을 실제 가격보다 싸게, 싸다 is more cheap, cheaper. So 싸게 살 수 있다. So here let's see together other distractor. So correct number 1 점점 줄어들 거리. There is decrease, but it say 점점 늘어날 거리. Increase is incorrect one. And number 2 is we don't know. So the answer is which one is the correct one. But the number 2 is we don't know at that paragraph. We don't know. And number distractor 4 is 책에다가 메모 is memo. 메모를 했거나 더러워진 것은 중고래 사이트에서 팔기가 어렵다. There is difficult to sell, but he is popular. It is not correct. So correct answer is number 3. And let's move on to number 4. So which one is 옳지 않은 것은 is wrong, not correct one. You need to find. And the answer is number 3. So the 전세 계약, that is a lease contract. So the paragraph is going to find another house, but the answer 연장 is extend or long. Extend. So the writer is going to find another house. So not going to 연장 because in here 이사 갈 집을 알아볼 생각입니다. I'm going to find another house, not going to 연장. 연장 is extend the contract, but it is not. Like let's see other distractor. So 편리한 곳으로 교통이 편리한 곳으로 이사를 가고 싶습니다. 교통이 편리한 곳에서 살고 싶다. That is correct one. And number 1. 차로 30분 정도 걸린다. Yeah, that's good. And here 장 is 시장. That is the market or mart. And number 2. 지금 사는 곳은 교통수단을 이용하기가 불편하다. Yeah, that's right. 대중교통수단을 이용할 수 없습니다. So cannot use is difficult to use. It's similar. So the answer is number 3. It is not correct. Not going to 연장. It's quit the contract. Okay, so let's move on to number 5. We need to find correct not. Which one is the wrong one? So this one is a really tricky one because it's a mathematics. It's a 할인 is discount and 10% discount. You have to calculate the money. What the? Anyway, yeah, let's see the answer is number 2. 모든 수업은 수강료 is a tuition fee. 지불해야 들을 수 있다. It's a 모든, it's a every. But here, the singing class is for free. So it is not correct. Yeah, this one is some mathematics questions. So I hate it. So the answer is number 2. So let's move on to the next one. So number 6 to 7. So fill in the blank. And this is connector. And this here is also not only important for KIIP. In your whole Korean life, this one is the most important thing is 중심 내용. That is main idea. So this structure is a correct answer, but you have to find the most important or the most core idea. It is not easy, but let's do it together. So number 6, which one is appropriate for the connector? The answer is number 4. 그렇지만 is however. Or just but. And 그리고 is and 따라서 is according to. And 게다가 is in addition. So in first paragraph is talking about dietary, the personal dietary, social relation dietary. So, but the other paragraphs say, yeah, some people say we don't need many other persons. We are living alone. But the other paragraphs say, but we have to living together. There is a contrast idea. So the connector used to be however, 그렇지만. And 중심, number 7 here, 중심 내용 is the difficult one. Let's see together. So number 1, 살면서 관계 속에서 상처받을 때가 있다. It's right. And 요즘 사람들이 인맥자 it's right. 나와 성격이나 마음이 안 맞는 사람들이 있으면 it would be, but we don't know. But the most core main idea is number 3. 사람은 힘들겠지만 그 중에서 성장할 수 있다. So 우리들은 더 많이 성장할 수 있다. So yeah, rather than focusing on first paragraph, 그렇지만. So after 그렇지만 is what you want to say about it. It's the most important thing. So let's move on to number 8 to 9. So number 8, which one is appropriate in number 8? 기억 is the answer is 이번이 처음이다. So this is the first time. And 좋은 일이다. It's like good job. Good event. And 이번이 마지막이다. This is the last time. Last time. And 자주 있는 일이다. 자주 is frequently. It frequently happen. So the answer is number 4. And also here is number 9, 중심 내용. That is the main idea. So let's think about it. So let's think it together. The answer is which one is the most correct, most core one is the answer number 1. So 한국에서 문화생활 즐기는 것에 관심이 생겼다. Here's so number 2. 나는 공연 티켓을 예만. We don't know. And number 3 and 4 is wrong. So that is not that difficult one for 중심 생각. So, okay. Let's move on to speaking section. So speaking is, this one is a unit 1 about the interpersonal relationship. So if you look at here, what could be like here is the boss scold the other, and maybe this one is this one. So yeah, you need to say 상사 is a boss, and they scold, blame publicly. There's a 공개적 public으로 is in public. P-L-I-C in public. And scold is 비난하다. 비난하다, 꾸짖다. So blame, scold. So whatever that is the keyword, 상사 relation, 공개적으로 비난하다. And I'm not sure who is this one, but the close color is same. So he has difficult time when his friend or colleague or whoever is being scolded in public situation. That's all for, and let's move on to number 2 is 소비 습관, is consumption or spending habit. So here's the keyword. This is unit 5. 소비 is expenditure. So if you see the chart here, 식비 is fee for eat, and 월세 is lease. 교통비 is a traffic fee, and 통신비 is a telephone. This one is you can, so which one you could save more. So whatever, so you can use it. And here, 쓰기, that is the unit 3 and unit 5. This one is a unit 3 part, and this one is a unit 5. We already did it, so I'm not going to handle at this time. So yeah, this is all for our first orientation. So at some part, I took it deeply, and some part I don't took it deeply because I don't want to spend so more time at first class. So I hope you enjoy it, and if there is wrong or you cannot figure it out clearly, please leave comment. I will answer you. Thank you for watching my video. Bye bye.